Greetings, dear listeners. I'm always here with you, so you should know I won't leave you without stories for long. Sit back, get comfortable, and enjoy this collection of horror tales about the forest. Enjoy watching.
I took the old forestry service road to save an hour on the drive back from my uncle's place. My phone had no signal for the last 20 minutes, but the paper map said it would connect back to the highway. Then I heard the thump. It wasn't a big thump, more like I'd driven over a thick branch, but in my rear view, in the red glow of my taillights, I saw it wasn't a branch. It was a leg in dark green cargo pants and a heavy boot. I jammed the brakes. My heart was hammering. I must have hit someone. I got out, the cold mountain air biting through my flannel. "Hello?" My voice sounded thin. No answer. I walked back, the beam from my flashlight shaking. There was no one there. No body. Just a single worn-out work boot lying on the gravel. I must have just hit the boot, I told myself. It must have fallen off a logging truck. I left it there and got back in my car. The engine wouldn't turn over. Just a click. Dead. I tried again and again. Nothing. I was stranded on a deserted road in the middle of the Gifford-Pinchot National Forest at night. That's when I saw the first figure. Between the trees, maybe 50 yards off the road, standing perfectly still. Tall. Just a dark shape. I blinked, and it was gone. I locked the doors. My mind was playing tricks. I needed to think. I had supplies, a half bottle of water, some beef jerky, a blanket. I'd wait for dawn and flag down a logger. An hour later, I heard the scratching. Not on the car, on the road. I slowly peered over the dash. The boot was gone from where I'd left it. The scratching sound was soft, like leather on gravel, and it was coming from the other side of the car. I didn't move. The sound stopped right by my door. I must have fallen asleep from sheer exhaustion, because the next thing I knew, gray dawn light was filtering through the trees. My neck was stiff. I looked out. The forest was quiet. Mist hung in the valleys below, and sitting neatly on my hood, laces tied together, was the work boot. That did it. I was getting out. I grabbed my backpack and started walking the way I'd been driving. The road was rough, all uphill. After 20 minutes, I heard an engine. An old brown pickup truck came rattling down the road toward me. I nearly cried with relief. I waved my arms. The truck stopped. The driver was an older guy in a canvas jacket. "You're the one," he said, not smiling. "My car died back there. Can you give me a lift to the highway?" "Get in," he said. He didn't ask any more questions. As we drove, I told him about the boot, the figure in the woods. He just nodded, his jaw tight. "You're not the first," he finally said. "Happens every few years on this stretch. Some poor soul hits that damn boot and their car dies. The thing, it follows. It wants a replacement, a trade." "A trade for what?" I asked. "For the one it lost. You leave something of yours behind, something personal, and it lets you go. You didn't leave anything, so it followed you, brought the boot to your car." It sounded insane, but I'd seen it. "What happens if you don't trade?" He just looked at me. We came around a bend and there was my car, but it wasn't how I left it. All 4 tires were flat, sunk to the rims. Deep parallel scratches ran along every panel, like giant claws had tried to pry it open. The windshield was a spiderweb of cracks. "It's impatient," the driver said. "Leave something. Now. Not your wallet. Something connected to you." Hands trembling, I emptied my pack. There was my lucky Zippo lighter, a gift from my dad. It was the most personal thing I had on me. I hated to leave it. I walked to the front of my ruined car and set it on the mangled hood. I got back in the truck, and as we pulled away, I looked back. A tall, impossibly thin figure, the color of bark and shadow, was standing by my car. It didn't move as we drove off. The old man dropped me at a gas station on the highway. I called a tow truck from a payphone. The next day, the tow guy called me. "Got your car to the yard," he said. "Weirdest thing, though. We found this on the driver's seat." He described my Zippo lighter, the specific engraving. "You want me to mail it to you?" I told him to keep it. I hung up and stared at my hands. The trade hadn't been accepted. It had been refused, which meant, according to the old-timer, the thing was still looking for a replacement, and it now had my scent and my name from the car's registration in the glove box. I keep my doors locked now, even in the day, and I never, ever stop for what looks like a boot in the road.
My brother Jake and I went bow hunting for black-tailed deer in the Oregon coastal range every November. This year, we finally got permission to hunt the old Mercer tract, 1,000 acres of dense, second-growth timber that hadn't been hunted in decades. We were sure it was full of big bucks. The first day was quiet, too quiet. No squirrels, no birds, just the drip of water from the ferns. We didn't see a single animal track. Jake joked the place was cursed. On the second morning, we split up to cover more ground. We agreed to meet back at camp at noon. I followed a game trail along a ridge. Still nothing. I was about to turn back when I saw the stand. It was a new-looking metal tree stand, bolted about 15 feet up a big Douglas fir. It had a padded seat and a little rail. That was weird. The Mercers lived in Florida, and the forester who gave us the gate key said we'd be the only ones out here. I climbed up. Maybe another hunter had permission and we'd crossed wires. The stand was empty, but on the seat was a thermos. It was still warm. Next to it was a pair of high-end binoculars. Someone had just been here. I called out, "Hello?" My voice got swallowed by the fog. No answer. I waited 10 minutes. No one came. I figured the hunter had gone to relieve himself and would be back. I didn't want to get caught in his stand, so I climbed down and headed for camp. Jake wasn't back. I started a fire. An hour passed, then 2. I tried the radio. Static. Just as I was gearing up to go look for him, he stumbled into the clearing. He was white as a sheet, breathing hard. "There's someone else out here," he gasped. "I know. I found a stand." "No, not a hunter. I was watching a clearing, and I saw him. He was just standing at the tree line, watching me back. He wasn't carrying a bow or a rifle. He was just still. For over an hour, Mark. He never moved." We decided to pack up and leave. It wasn't worth it. As we were breaking down the tent, we heard a voice. It was close, maybe 30 yards into the trees. A calm, conversational voice. "You're in my stand." We froze. I shouted back, "We have permission from the Mercers. We're leaving now." "You used my thermos," the voice said, same calm tone. "You touched my binoculars." That's when I realized. I hadn't touched them. I'd only looked. How did he know? "We didn't take anything," Jake yelled. "Stay on the trail. It's faster." We grabbed our packs and ran, not toward the truck, which was a mile west, but toward the old logging road to the south, the way the voice had pointed, the faster way. It was a stupid, panicked decision. The trail was clear, too clear, like it had been recently brushed out. We ran for 10 minutes before Jake skidded to a stop. Ahead, hanging from a low branch by a rope, was the thermos. It swung gently. Blocking the trail behind it was the tree stand, its metal legs bent and twisted as if torn from the tree and thrown there. We crashed off the trail, into the thick salal and devil's club. Thorns ripped at our clothes. We had no idea where we were going, just away.
We heard no footsteps, but we heard his voice, always from a different direction, never raised. You're off the trail now. That's disappointing. We finally burst out onto a gravel road we didn't recognize. A county maintenance truck was coming. We waved it down, babbling about a man in the woods. The worker, a guy about my dad's age, listened quietly. He let us get in the warm cab and drove us to our truck. When we told him where we'd been, his face went grim. "The Mercer land," he said. "You shouldn't have been in there." "We had permission," Jake insisted. "It ain't about permission," he said. "Old man Mercer's son, Stephen, he was a hunter, lived out there in a cabin. About 10 years ago, some city kids snuck in to party. They found his stand, messed with his gear. He confronted them. There was a fight. Stephen, he didn't make it. They never found who did it." "So what, it's his ghost?" I asked, the words tasting stupid. The worker gave a dry, humorless laugh. "Nah, old man Mercer, he's not right in the head since then. He lives in Florida, but he pays to have that land watched, hires guys, survivalists, paranoid types, to guard it, to keep people out, to find out who messed with his boy's stuff." He looked at us. "You said you touched his things." He dropped us at our truck. We got in and locked the doors. As we pulled onto the pavement, I saw a figure in my side mirror, standing at the tree line where the service road began, not moving, just watching us leave. We reported it to the sheriff. They said they'd look into it. A week later, a deputy called. They'd found a small, well-hidden cabin on the Mercer property. It was empty, but recently occupied. They found detailed logs, dates, times, descriptions of people who had entered the land. Our names were in it. And they found a collection of items: wallets, cell phones, a pair of binoculars, and a single warm thermos. The worst part of my divorce was losing the dog. Scout, a goofy black lab. The court said she was marital property and my ex got her. I was hiking the Appalachian Trail section in Vermont to clear my head, trying to outwalk the hurt. I was 3 days in when I saw the dog. It was a lab, just like Scout, but thinner, its coat matted with burrs. It was standing on the trail ahead of me, tail stiff, just staring. My heart jumped. Scout? It turned and trotted into the underbrush. I know it wasn't her. It was stupid. But I followed. I just needed to see. The dog moved quick, always just ahead, vanishing behind ferns and rocks. I left the trail. I told myself it was only for a minute. After 15 minutes of pushing through thick brush, I knew I was lost. The dog was gone. I pulled out my compass and GPS. The GPS showed no signal under the thick canopy. The compass seemed to spin lazily before settling. I picked a direction I thought was east, back toward the trail. An hour later, I came to a stream I didn't recognize. That's when I heard the whining. It was a dog, in pain. It came from the other side of the stream, up a rocky slope. It sounded so real, so desperate. I crossed the stream, slipping on the rocks. The whining led me to a small cave, really just a crack in a mossy rock face. It was dark inside. I shined my headlamp in. No dog. Just a small, dirty backpack. An old one, from maybe the 90s. The whining had stopped. The forest was dead silent again. I shouldn't have touched it, but I did. I pulled the pack out. It was heavy. Inside was a canteen, empty, a moldy notebook, and a man's wallet. I opened it. The driver's license was for a guy named David Abrams, issued in 1998. His face was young, smiling. There was a faded photo of a woman and a little girl.
I dropped the pack. I needed to get out of there. I tried my compass again. It pointed west, but when I took 2 steps, the needle swung to point directly at me. I tapped it. It was broken. I was down to basic orienteering, using the sun, but the sky was a solid gray ceiling. I walked for what felt like hours. The landscape started to repeat, and the same grouping of 3 oddly shaped boulders, and the same fallen hemlock. I was walking in a giant circle. Panic set in, real and metallic in my mouth. As dusk fell, I saw the dog again. It was sitting on a log, watching me, its head tilted. It didn't look scared or hurt now. It just looked waiting. I was too tired to follow. I slumped against a tree. "What do you want?" I whispered. It stood up, trotted a few yards, and looked back. It was leading me. I had no choice. I followed. The dog moved steadily, with purpose, through terrain that seemed to open up for it. In the last of the light, I saw a ribbon of dirt, a fire road. The dog sat at the edge of the road. I stumbled onto the gravel, a sob of relief choking me. I turned to look at the dog. It was gone. A set of paw prints led from the woods to where I stood and then just stopped, as if the animal had vanished. A park ranger found me 20 minutes later, sitting in the middle of the road, shaking. I told him everything: the dog, the backpack, the wallet. He radioed it in. His face was serious. They found the cave. They found the backpack. A week after I got home, a detective called me. David Abrams had been reported missing in 1999 while hiking. They never found a body. They thanked me for the closure. I asked, "Did you find a dog? A black lab?" The detective was quiet for a second. "Mr. Abrams' family said he never owned a dog. He was allergic." I hung up. I sat in my quiet apartment. The silence was worse than the woods. I keep thinking about that license photo, that young man smiling, not knowing. And I think about the dog. It wasn't leading me to safety. It was leading me to him, to his things. It needed someone to find him. And now, sometimes at night, from the alley behind my building, I hear it. A faint, lonely whine. And I know it's not looking for its owner anymore. I think it's looking for the next person who's lost, who's hurt, who's alone. And I know, eventually, I might be foolish enough to follow it again. A bank repossessed my dad's hunting cabin in the North Cascades after he died. I had one weekend to clear his stuff out before the locks were changed. It was a sad chore. I drove up Friday after work, arriving after dark. The place was a mess. Dad wasn't a tidy man. I decided to start in the morning, built a fire in the stone fireplace, and crashed on the old couch. I was woken by a sound I knew well, the scrape of the heavy wooden porch bench being dragged across the deck. My dad used to do that every morning, to sit and have his coffee. My breath froze. I lay there, listening. The scraping stopped. Then, faintly, I heard the front doorknob rattle. Not a forceful try, just a testing turn. Then silence. I waited 10 minutes, then grabbed the fireplace poker and crept to the door. I yanked it open. The porch was empty. The bench was in its usual place. The woods were pitch black and silent. I wrote it off as the wind or an animal, though I knew no animal could turn a doorknob. The next day, I packed boxes. I found his old hunting journals. I flipped through one. The last entry, dated just a month before he died, read, "He's back. Tried the door again last night.
I saw his face at the window. Won't call the sheriff. They'll think I'm crazy. He just wants to come in, but I can't let him. The handwriting was shaky, not like my dad's. A chill went through me. I told myself it was the ramblings of a sick old man. He'd had a mild stroke a year before he died. That had to be it. That night, the sounds started again. Not just the bench. This time, it was footsteps on the porch. A slow, heavy pacing, back and forth. Then a knock. 3 solid, patient knocks on the front door. I didn't move. I couldn't. The poker felt useless in my hand. The knocking came again. Same rhythm. Then a voice. A hoarse, dry whisper, right outside the window by my head. "John. You in there, John?" My dad's name. The voice was all wrong. It sounded like someone trying to imitate a human voice with a throat full of gravel. "It's cold out here, John. Let me in." I saw a shape through the thin curtain, the silhouette of a man, tall and too thin. It stood there, waiting. I backed into the small bathroom, the only room with a lock. I sat on the floor, listening. I heard the doorknob turn again. Then the sound of nails, or maybe something sharper, scratching slowly down the length of the front door.
It went on for hours. Then, just before dawn, it stopped. The forest was quiet. I waited until full light, then burst out of the bathroom, ready to run to my truck. The main room was a wreck. Overturned furniture, boxes spilled, but not ransacked, arranged. The furniture was pushed against the walls, and in the center of the floor, laid out neatly, were all of my dad's hunting knives, his skinning tools, and a single, clean coffee mug. I ran. I left everything. I sped down the mountain road to the ranger station. I babbled my story to the woman at the counter. She had the calm, tired look of someone who hears a lot of strange things. When I mentioned the cabin's location, her expression changed. "The Miller place," she said. She sighed, pulled out a file. "Your father filed 3 reports in his last year, said someone was trespassing, trying to get in. We checked each time, found nothing. No tracks, no signs of forced entry. It was there last night," I insisted. "I believe you saw something," she said carefully. "But we get drifters, squatters, especially in foreclosed properties. They get attached. They think it's theirs." She gave me a case number and told me to secure the property. I didn't go back. I hired a moving company to clear the place. 2 guys. They called me from the cabin, pissed off. "Some weirdo here says he lives here," one said. "Tall guy, won't leave, says we're stealing his friend John's stuff." I told them to leave immediately. They did. The bank changed the locks, put up no trespassing signs. They found a new buyer within a month. A real estate agent called me a few weeks ago, her voice tight with anger. "Did you know about the squatter issue?" she demanded. "The new owner says someone keeps trying to get in. They find the porch bench moved every morning. They say someone knocks and asks for John." I apologized, said I had no idea it was an ongoing problem. But I did know. I read my dad's last journal entry again last night, the part I didn't read aloud to the ranger. It said, "He looks like me now, sounds a little like me. He learns. I can't shoot him. It wouldn't do any good. He just wants to come home. But which one of us would be on the inside, and which one would be out here in the cold?" I think my dad's still up there, or something that learned to wear his face, and now it's knocking on someone else's door, asking for a friend who doesn't live there anymore, wanting to be let in from the cold, forever.
If you liked the story, subscribe and like it,
And also write a comment about what topic you would like to hear about.